Well, we are doing part 4 of Made for the Human Race, and I do believe God's been speaking to me personally on this journey and me personally on what He's really doing and how He wants to transform the human race and transform the lives of people that pursue or follow Him. And tonight I'm going to be preaching 3 categories just to break this message up into 3 parts, and I'll get into them in a minute. But I wanted to go way back. Tonight I'm just going to get a little bit funny with it, and it's please, if you want it, you can cheer me on, you can laugh at jokes that aren't even funny, whatever you want to do to keep this going, because I was actually like, God, this message is a bit out of my depth. Like, I'm not used to preaching this realm, but I believe God put it on my heart, and He's been speaking to me about it. And so I'm going to be reading out of Genesis tonight, which is Genesis 1:26, and it's about God creating mankind. Like, He comes into the picture and He's doing His thing, He's creating the world, and he stops at this moment to create what we know as mankind, the human race. And so in Genesis 1:26 it says here, "Then God said, 'Let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness, so that they may rule over all the fish and the sea, the birds in the sky, over the livestock and wild animals, and over all the creatures that are on the ground.'" And so I just wanted to clarify here. God's saying, okay, I'm going to create humans. I'm going to create people. I'm going to create people to be on this earth. And I don't want you to think that you're the bottom of the food chain. I'm making you special. There's something about you. I want you to rule over the world. I want you to have this. I want you to be a part of this. And so in verse 2, which I love this, 27, it says here, "God then created mankind, but not in any other image, but His own." So this big, beautiful God that we talk about, the God that people feel is very far away and we can't reach, and He doesn't want anything to do with us. I just want to say tonight that the passage make it very clear, the God that created us made us in His image. And so it says He created male and female and created them in His image. And then God said, "I will bless you and I will make you fruitful, but I do want you to go and increase in numbers." Now, preaching to the choir there, I've contributed to that. If anyone's following me tonight, what that basically means I know it's a kids service, but basically have kids and have children. So anyone that's multiplied, you're biblical. So it talks about that. So then He says this, do this, and then conquer the earth. In Genesis 2:7, which is a later verse, it says here, "Then the Lord formed a man from the dust and the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living being." You know, we're trying to unwrap this concept of how God is not far away. That God's not, just distant, and He's not like, well, I wasn't really made for the human race and people are just whatever. He really is serious and intimate about what He's doing. Like he means this, and He means it so much that He didn't just create you and go, well, there's you, but He created you in His image. And so He's a God that wants more than just to be separate from us, but He wants to be close to us, and He wants to transform us, and I love this passage. And so my first point tonight is, I just wanted to speak to someone tonight. I wanted to talk about the reason why knowing how you were made matters. The most common question, and I've asked this myself, it doesn't just apply to believers, and I'm sure it doesn't just apply to non-believers, but a lot of times we find ourselves as human asking, why do I exist? Like, why am I really here? Like, what's actually going on? I remember when I was younger, and when I say younger, like last week, and I was like watching the news, and I was watching something, and I'm like, what is actually going on? Like, why do I exist? Why are we at church tonight? Let's ask big questions. Why are we even here? Why do people go to work? What's all these? These are questions I'm sure you've asked and people have asked. And I've asked God in my own life, why do I exist? Why do I matter? And I feel this because I know that some people right now, if you're listening to my words, deep down you know that all you are doing is existing. Nothing more, nothing less. You're here, you're doing what you have to do, you're doing what you think is right, you're doing what, maybe you're trying to obey the laws of the land, maybe you're going to work because if you don't turn up your boss will be angry. Whatever you're doing, you're just doing it because that's what you've always done. And a lot of us are in this. Like, I know that even for me, I'm like, I talk to people all the time that don't believe in God, don't believe in religion, don't want anything to do with it. And they're like, yeah, I don't believe in all that, but I still don't know why I exist. Like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. And so a lot of us, we find ourselves just existing. And if I'm understanding the scripture I just read out to you, how God said, you know what, I'm going to make someone that's in the image of me. I'm going to create someone that is something I love and adore and want to do life with. Then to me, you're not just existing, but you actually matter, and there is more for your life than just existing. Like, keep up with me on this one. Tonight, here at Heart House, and what I believe is that you matter. More than your career, more than just existing, you matter. Like, I'll get soft with it, because this is God. This is how He's speaking to me this week. Because I'm like, yeah, God, I know I matter. But do you actually know how much you matter? Like, I just want to speak to someone, even if you're a believer, I've been in church, I heard this before. Like, the reality of how much your being and your existence matters, that God would create you in His likeness, in His image, would absolutely take the inspiration from Himself to create you, and you're sitting here going, I don't even know why I exist. I'll tell you why I exist, because you matter to God. Like, you actually matter to Him. And this is hard, because even with my own identity and struggling with this, I'm like, well, I know that I matter, but it's really hard to sometimes believe that 24/7 all the time in my life. And the reason why the you matter concept is so tough is because, and this is just from my personal experience, sometimes things in life just go wrong. Has anyone ever been betrayed by someone? I've been betrayed by people. I'm sure, if we're honest, people have betrayed us in some way or another. Has anyone here tonight ever had life hurt them in some way or another? Sometimes we love, life, and then we get this bad outcome, or something doesn't go our way. And all these things start to subtract from our we matter. Because when life has things happen, we think we matter less. And so, you probably heard it. Yeah, cool, man. Sam, you said I matter. But do you actually know how much you do matter? Like, how much you're not just existing. You're not just here, and you didn't just turn up to church because it's part of what you do and other people don't do that. There is something greater happening right now within people's lives. And I don't know if I'm the sober police tonight, but I want to sober someone tonight and tell them that they matter so much, that God breathed life into your lungs. He gave you a purpose, and He created you more than just to exist. I'll tell you why this is important. Because life does happen. Things do go wrong. You will be betrayed. You will be hurt. You will be disappointed. And you will have some form of suffering. But when you matter, and when you know that you were created, that doesn't equal for no reason. That equals for some reason. And I want to say tonight, even though you're like, well, those things that have happened to me means I don't matter. No. Those things have happened to you, but it's because of His greatness, you now matter through those things. Am I making this clear? I want to hone into this tonight. I'm going to get clear. This is what God was really speaking to me about this week. Because I said to God, it's the things of life that come against me that make me think I don't matter. It's when I've been hurt, when I've been lost, when I've had things happen, that's when I start to devalue my core. And that's when I start to realize, well, maybe I don't matter, and this doesn't matter, and I'm sick, and stuff goes wrong. But it's those things that have happened to us that change the reason of those things when you realize you matter. Like, not some God that's really far away. He's not too out of your reach. He creates mankind in His image. And that's you and I. And so that everything we go through and everything we've been through and everything we're currently going through isn't for no reason, but has a reason. And I wrote this down this week because I wanted someone to hear this. You will only go as far as you know you are. Sorry, I'll read it out again. You will only go as far as you know you were made. So people will get so far in life and they'll get to a certain degree in success and life and get through the troubles. But when you know that you were made and God made you, you go so much further with the things that happen to you. And I know this because God is proud of what he makes. You know, a few weeks ago, I haven't told Kirsty this story yet, so you'll find this out for the first time. She said, I got to go do some stuff. Can you watch Dallas? And I said, yeah, that's no problem. I'm pro at this. So I laid on the lounge. I was really tired. I had a big night the night before. Not doing what you think I was doing. I was at youth group or something. I was doing something good. Yeah. But I was really tired. And so I said, Kirsty, I'll look after him. So I sit on the lounge with Dallas, and we're sitting there, and we're chilling, and we're relaxing, and we're doing our thing. And I thought to myself, I don't know if any parents ever done this, and I thought, I'm just going to close my eyes for 5 seconds. Just 5 seconds, no more, no less, no longer. And I just Dallas is there, I'm watching TV, and I just closed my eyes. And it was a good nap. I went deep into the nap. And I wake up with this, that was the quickest 5 seconds of my life. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm here. And I kind of came to it. And then I realized Dallas was missing. He was no longer at the end of the lounge. And I thought to myself, how far has he gone in 5 seconds? Until I realized that Kirsty left at 9 a.m. and it was now 10:30. So I said, Dallas, where are you? No response. I said, I'm in trouble. So I got up and I go into the kitchen and I notice all the drawers are open. All the drawers are open, all the pantry's open, everything's open. And there was no utensils, there was no food, there was children. There was just nothing in the kitchen. All the forks are gone, all the sticky tape was gone. The whole kitchen was just empty drawers. And I went, well, Dallas has moved out. He's gone. He's no longer here. He's packed up and left. And I'm like, Dallas, where are you? Nothing. So I was like, okay, I got to look for him. So I went into our bedroom. Half our clothes were missing. I was looking around the house, went to the shed. Half the tools were missing. And I was like, where has he gone? And so I find him in the furthest room, which is the room at the front of the house. And he's really quiet. And I open the door and he's in there. And you should see what I walked into. It was bananas. It was crazy. And he stands up and he goes, Dad, look what I built. And I was looking and I was like, oh my gosh, we're in so much trouble, Dallas. Mum's going to get home. There was sticky tape all over the walls. There was string going from the bed. There was forks, sticky tape to the roof. I'm like, how did you do that? There was just the stuff hanging off the fans. There was bread. And I said, what are you doing? He's like, I'm building a city, Dad. I'm making a city. And I was thinking how am I going to clean this up before Mum gets home? Because she's like, how did this happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I was awake the whole time. I have no idea. But I was like, Dad, come on, we got to pack this up. And he goes, no, Dad, we can't. We can't touch it. And I said, why? And he goes, because I'm proud of what I made. And I said, well, we're going to have to touch it. And he goes, no, Dad, it's fine. It's fine. You just go. Exactly like that. I said, Dad, we got to pack this up. And there's literally a loaf of bread going around on the thing. And he goes, that's fine, Dad. I built a city. I'm very proud of it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm proud of you too. Because I started looking around the room and realized there was some architecture going on in this place. And the more I looked, the more I was in fear. How did that hammer get taped to the top of the curtains? There was string. There was just stuff everywhere. But he was proud of what he created. And I just wanted to say tonight, some people don't realize that, yes, life's messy. And yes, it's the way it is. And yes, things go wrong. But the Father is super proud of what he's made. He's proud of you and he's proud of what you've done and he's proud of what he's made. And I don't know if I'm speaking to anyone tonight, but knowing why you were made really does matter for you to get through this chaos called life. Like, life's going to happen. It's messy. Things go wrong. But when you realize that you matter and that God is proud of you. Like, let me just back the truck up a little bit for a second. Dallas had created something, and he was so proud of what he created. I just want to reflect that tonight. God's looking at this people right now. He's looking at this nation. He's looking at us as individuals. He's like, gosh, I'm proud of what I made. Gosh, I'm proud of what... And you might be going, well, I don't matter because I'm just a mess and I'm over here. No, God's like, I'm so proud and I'm so delighted. I'm so stoked with what I made. And so knowing how you were made matters. But my second point tonight is the reason you should know why you were made, not just how you were made, is just as important. You know, I thought about this week, and I'm thinking about God's love for us and God's proud of us, and you've heard me say this. I'm saying it tonight. But I asked this question to God this week. I'm like, God, you breathed me into existence. You created me. You created everyone, actually. You are the God of the universe. You are the King of Kings. You are the most majestic, most amazing thing. We preach about it at church all the time. You've done all this. So why the heck would you need me? Like, this is the guy that breathed life into us. He created us. He made us. Why would he need us? Why would he need you and I? Like, it's one thing to say he created us and go rule over the world, but to actually use us, like, why would he need you? Why would he want you? Why would he even need your help on earth? Until I started to realize that God does this thing where there's beauty found where most people think beauty isn't found. Like there's something beautiful about sinners being saved. Like, if you think about it, people that have done the wrong thing, you and I, we've all done it. We've all made mistakes. We've all missed the mark. We've all made mistakes and done the wrong thing. But there's something beautiful in us finding a Savior. There's something beautiful in Jesus saying, you know what? I can pay the price for that. There's something beautiful in grace setting us free from our lives. You know what else is beautiful? There's something beautiful about brokenness being fixed. Like, you've ever seen like an old car or an old house or one of those TV shows where they do like they change the things around and they make a new house and they make an old car look really good, or like Pimp My Ride or something like that. And you're watching the show and you're like, this is incredible. They took that rusty thing, that old house or whatever it is, and they turned it into this. There's something beautiful in that thing. And I was like, man, like, God's really bigger than just creating a bunch of robots that just, yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir. He'll create us in his image, in his beauty, in what he's doing. And then he'll say, hey, I could use you for something. I could do something with you. And I asked God this question this week. I'm like asking God because I'm trying to wrap my head around this topic. And I'm like, God, explain this to me. And God said this really clear to me. He said, just because I brought you into life doesn't mean by default you live a fulfilling one. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Just because you were created, mankind was created, you're here. Just because God brought you into life doesn't mean you live a fulfilling one. And I'm like, I was slightly challenged by that because I'm like, we love that we matter and God made us and God's going to use us and all this sort of stuff. But how does our life become fulfilling? We know that we're created, but how does our life become something else? And I know for my life, I struggled with this a lot because I finally figured out God made me. And I wasn't just existing and there's something else for my life. But I struggled with this concept that he could ever use me, that he could ever do something with my life, that I was beyond just being made by him, but him doing something within my life. And the reason why I struggle with this is because sometimes I really do feel like the life battle and the things we do and the things we go through just distract us from what God's really trying to do in our lives. And so we slowly become miserable, or we become without direction. And I'm not just talking to non-believers now, I'm talking to people that believe. And sometimes we just can't figure out why we feel this way. And then it gets amplified because in this life, we're in a culture that promotes an I go first mentality. So it's one thing just to back the truck up and say, God made you and he gave you life. But to live a fulfilling life, to live a life that's worth living, to have a life that is not I go first, but what is he trying to do in this life, is found in Mark 10:43, I believe. And it says here, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must go last. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve others and to give his life up as a ransom for many. And so we're establishing that God created us in his image. We're establishing that he made us. We're establishing that he made us and he's proud of us and he's proud of what he made of and he's proud of what we're doing and he's proud that this is his beautiful work of art. But you and I know that when we sit here and we understand that you and I sometimes go, well, I'm not sure what my life equals to. I'm not sure that God could actually use me. I'm not sure that what I have to offer is enough. Like I said, that God breathes life to us. He's the God-giving life God. What could he want from little old me? Until he starts to say this passage, this is Jesus talking. He's like, hey, you want to have a great life? You want to have life to the fullest? You want to understand what it means to live? And then it's to put others first. Now this is backwards because it's like we're in a culture that's like promote self-preservation and promote I go first and look after me and my interest is first. And a lot of people come to God with this mentality. It's me first, look after me. But God's saying if you want to live life to the fullest, then it's what we can do for others. And so God creates you into life, but serving others brings you to life. If you don't believe me or you're like, I don't like this message at the moment, try it for a month. If you are without direction, if you are like, what am I doing? If you're like trying to search your identity or you're like, I don't know what's going on, try serving others for a month. Drop off a meal every night to your neighbors for a month. Wash your neighbor's car for no reason, but you just do something for someone else. And I guarantee that by the end of the month, you'll go, I know why I'm on this planet. God speaks through us because serving is fulfillment. And serving others is what truly sets us free. And I know I'm speaking to someone tonight because you're like, there's a class of people I'm going to be going through to talk to. The first one is you didn't know God created you and he was proud of you. He loves you, he's proud of you, and he created you. It's really a beautiful story. But the story doesn't just end there. Then he wants to use you and do life with you and change you and do amazing things by your side. And you're probably going, well, does that mean to shine up the church? No, it's far beyond you to shine up the church. It's far beyond you reading your Bible twice a week. It's found in the serving of others. It's found in the loving of others. It's found in the using your life to help and build others. And there's something that I'm working through as myself. You're probably going to laugh at this, but this is just me being vulnerable tonight. But I've got this revelation that the true meaning of freedom The true meaning of freedom is realizing the world does not revolve around you. All right, I'll move on to the next point because that's a hard one. There is something empowering, and there is something life-changing when we come to a place where we realize the world does not revolve around us. Like, I'm not criticizing people right now that are struggling with that and they think the world revolves around them and it's their issues and everyone needs to pamper that. I'm trying to preach truth tonight. There is some sort of weird freedom, something that accelerates you and changes your life when you realize your life and the things that happen to you does not revolve around you, but your life can be used to do something for someone else. And I've struggled with this because I'm like my whole life, I'm like, God, bad things happen to me, this happened, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I realize that this doesn't give me freedom. It actually shackles me up. And we're in a world right now that wants freedom. Made for the human race. We're doing the whole topic. And God's like, true freedom. True freedom. Hear me, church. Hear me, those that have believed for a long time and they've been struggling with maybe people not doing enough for you or the church not doing enough for you or someone's not done enough for you. Listen to me right now. True freedom is when you realize the whole world does not revolve around you. I'm speaking to someone tonight. Not that it doesn't matter because we've established that. It matters because God will use it for greatness. But when you have the heart that, you know, what's happened to me and what's going on doesn't revolve around me, God will use you in ways that you couldn't even imagine. He'll give you freedom that you've never even felt before. And I'm on this journey myself. I'm like, God, some mornings this week, I go to complain to Kirsty, and Kirsty goes, Sam, remember the world doesn't revolve around you? And I just get this sense of freedom. She's right. Now, what could I do for my neighbor? What could I do for somebody else? What could I do for the person down the street? And this is a revelation that's not a really feel-good message, but it's a reality of truth. God says those that want to go first, those that want to be great, those that want to live life to the fullest have to be last. I'm preaching principles here tonight, not feel-good message, to really establish freedom in your life and to have purpose and to wake up every day and go, you know what? I was born for greatness. I've got greatness on my life and God's going to use me for the most amazing things. You have to let go that the world revolves around you. And then what happens is your world starts to revolve around Him. And He starts to lead you on a journey that matters. Which leads us to my third point tonight. Knowing who made you and the one that actually created you is the most important thing that matters. Now, I'm going to recap and then I'm going to preach this last bit. We've established that God made mankind. And He's proud of it. He's not disappointed in us and He's not like, well, look at them all. Just disappointed in the mess and what they've done. He created you. He breathed life into the mankind. So I'm going to make it in my image. And it's beautiful and it's incredible. And you got to hear it tonight. You're beautiful and you're incredible. And God breathed life into you so you could live a life. But that's to be here. The second step is to live a fulfilling life. It's to go beyond I was created and it's to step into why I was created. And this is the second part, which is God will use you to change the world. He will use you to change people around you. He will use you to change every aspect of everything you're involved in. And through that becomes true freedom. Like I'm talking about a freedom that I'm getting a glimpse of now in my own life where I'm like, God, holy dolly, the world doesn't revolve around me. It doesn't matter. Like I tested this. I even tested this. I'm like, God, show me what this freedom looks like. He said, we'll go into this event. We're doing something. I said to Kirst, I said, I'm going to try. I said, I always am so anal and so specific about what I'm going to wear. I'm like, I'm going to wear this shirt. And I just heard God's voice go, ask someone the next day if anyone noticed your shirt. But I'm like all sweaty and hot and like stressed about what I'm wearing. And I asked the next day, I said to Kirst, do you even know what I was wearing yesterday? She's like, nope. And there was this sense of freedom where I'm like, Oh my gosh, why have I been holding this expectation about what everyone else thinks, what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is going to say? Because the world doesn't revolve around me. So I found this freedom that it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. It doesn't matter what everyone's doing. It doesn't matter because the world, come on, hear my heart on this tonight, Heart House. The world doesn't revolve around me. You know, I read this quote this week. It said, in 100 years from now, everything that we love and everything we've done and everything we've achieved, talking about our careers and talking about the money we've saved and talking about all these things, in 100 years from now will be forgotten. And all you'll be known for is maybe, if you're lucky, a picture of you in a wooden frame on someone's desk. Now, this message sounds negative. I don't know. You guys are not going to be preaching again at this church, but when you find the sense that the world doesn't revolve around you, oh, it's freedom. You stop caring, and I'm not saying you don't care in a negative way. I'm saying you stop caring what people think. And you start to think about what God thinks and what he's going to do. And so you're set free. And all he says is, don't worry about you, worry about them. Don't worry about them, get their needs done. Don't worry about your bread, feed them. And so he starts to create this freedom in your life. But to know him as well. To not just know you were created and not to know the world doesn't revolve around you, but to actually walk with the guy that created you. Not just know he did and then die and hopefully you meet him, but to do life with him is a very powerful thing. Because whether you like what I'm saying tonight or you don't believe in it or you don't, the reality is you were made for something and something was made for you. Now, you can run from this. I'm not saying people have to just default know God. I know people, they run from this. They run from serving, they run from helping, they run from the connection with God on a real level. It's beyond religion, but actually relationship. And they run away from it because it's pretty overwhelming. But no matter how far you run, whether you're an atheist or you're a full-time Christian or you believe or you don't, no matter how far you run, God always placed something missing because you were made for something and something was made for you. You can't live life without fulfilling this. And I know this because I've walked this journey and I've had to deal with this myself. Come on, I'm preaching to someone tonight. I know that there's something out there that I need to be connecting with. And I know the world's trying to connect to it. And I know that sometimes the flippant church is trying to connect with it. And it's not found in the music. It's not found in my preaching tonight. It's far deeper and greater than that. Let me tell you an example. I know for a fact right now, there are some people in this place that are lonely as heck in their inside. They're so lonely. And it doesn't matter if you're around the whole world and everyone's around you and you've got birthday parties and weddings and things to go to. When you get home, you feel that loneliness. And it's irrelevant how many friends you've got on Facebook, and it's irrelevant how many people around you. You feel that loneliness. So there's something missing within you. And I'm not just preaching it. I don't want people to think I'm just preaching to non-believers tonight. I'm preaching to believers. I'm preaching to myself tonight. There's times where I've been around people and I feel lonely. Some people in this room feel like they're not good enough. And even if everyone in this whole church told them they were, even if I preached this tonight that you are good enough, you will still go home tonight and you will go, I'm not good enough. And the whole world can say you're good enough. And on the inside, you know that something's missing and you'll say, I'm not good enough. And I'll say, well, God said you're good enough. And you'll go, that's cool, Pastor Sam, but I'm going home and I know that I'm not good enough. You know, some people are trying to find purpose and they're trying really hard to find it. We try to find it in going to churches. We try to find it in reading the latest book. We try to find purpose in all these avenues. I mean, you see all this stuff online that's just bombarding you with trying to find purpose. And there's this everlasting thirst that we find because we're trying to find purpose and value in other people. We think that it's found in other people. It's found in what's happening around us. And so this is this everlasting thirst for purpose. You know, some of us tonight, that next high is all we think about. Whether it's drugs or alcohol or pornography or something in that box. And it's not, you're not just doing it because you want to feel good, because that's what people use out there and do. No. You've gone past the feel good part. You're just doing it because you just want to feel. And so it's bigger than just feeling good. It's just you're looking for something on the inside just to feel. Let me just say it really clear again. You were made for something, and something was made for you. So no matter where you go, and no matter what church you go to, no matter what life you take, no matter what gym you go to, no matter what drug you do, no matter what you do, if you don't connect with who made you, you will never, ever satisfy that. It will never, ever go away. You will always look for purpose. You will always be sorrow. You will always be lonely. You will always be sore until you find the reason you were made. But this cuts deep. I'm a pastor and I love this church and I do my thing, and there's weeks where I suffer with this myself. I'm like, am I doing a good enough job? This creeps up in every aspect of our lives. I'm not just preaching to you now, I'm preaching to myself. And you go, well, everything's going good, but it doesn't matter how much it's going good. This is how I feel. And so it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and the world spirals and the church spirals and everyone spirals out of control because they're trying to put something with something else. And I'm here to tell you tonight, there's only one thing. Like, I want to do a feel-good message and I want you guys to go home and feel good. But the reality is, there's only one thing that can satisfy that thirst. And it's the one that made you. John 6:35, Jesus comes into the story. Now, just to backtrack for anyone that wants to know. God created you in Genesis. It says that. He said he made you. He breathed life into your lungs, and here you were. Humankind, mankind. Here we are. We're all here. Like, woohoo, we were made. And the second thing he says is, look, hey, if you want to live a fulfilling life and you want to live a life that's worth living and a life that's full and a life that's going to change you, realize that it doesn't revolve around you, but it revolves around what you could do for others. But then the last part is he's like, well, because of what we've been doing, there's a gap between the Creator and us. You know, we've been doing the wrong thing. So he sends his son, Jesus, to close that gap so that we could actually connect with the guy or the God that created us. And so Jesus is here and he's like talking to these guys. He's like, hey, I want to call you over here. I want to tell you something. This is Jesus speaking. And he says to this bunch of people, and I'm saying it to you tonight. Jesus declared, it says here in 35, I am the bread of life. And whoever comes to me will never go hungry. And whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. And as the band comes, Jesus just says it as clear as day. Now, I had to give you context because it's like, if you didn't know why Jesus made that so important, it's because like you had to realize that God created you first and then Jesus came into the picture. And Jesus says, if you come to me and you're real about this, and you're like, I've tried everything else and nothing else is adding up and it's empty and I don't know what's going on. And is it really made for the human race? What's really going on? Jesus says, give me a go. Come to me. Give me a go. Accept me in your heart. You don't have to just be a non-believer tonight. You might be here going, well, I used to believe or I'm sort of believing, but I'm asking people to be hungry again. And come to Jesus and say, Jesus, what are you promising? He's promising you that you will not go hungry. He's promising you that you won't be thirsty. He's promising you that he came to change the human race. He came to do something in our lives. And I want to encourage someone tonight. You might have forgotten what I've said. You might have not realized that I might be just reminding you tonight. But Jesus came to fulfill the emptiness that we all carry. Whether we like it or not. Whether you've been looking for it elsewhere or not, the reality is only him and him alone can fulfill that emptiness. Only Jesus. Otherwise, we fill it with other things. We fill it with religion. We fill it with politics. We fill it with the next best trend. the next best thing, the next this or that. But if we just bring it back tonight, it was Jesus that stops the hunger. And it's Jesus that stops the thirst. And I want to believe tonight that people open their hearts once again. Not those that believe, but not just those that believe, but those that don't believe. They open their heart to going, well, I don't want to just exist anymore. You know, you can believe in God and still just only exist. You know, I'm not just preaching to people that don't believe tonight. This message was preaching to me tonight. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm not careful, I'm stuck in the loop. I'm just existing. Jesus wants so much more from your life. He wants to transform your life. He wants to do stuff in our lives. Trust me when I say this, true freedom. Just close your eyes with me. Just feel it tonight. Just feel His presence. Just allow Him to wash over you. True freedom. Let's just try this tonight. Feel your heartbeat and feel your life right now. And true freedom is saying whatever happened to me, whatever's going on, whatever's happened, doesn't revolve around me. It revolves around Him and what He wants to do with you. And those holes that are wounded and those pieces that are missing in that place that's empty, I pray right now that God, you fill that right now. And you allow people to feel your presence once again. Connect with people once again. Connect with people in a real and a relevant way where people go, oh my gosh, I've been trying to feel this with other stuff, but tonight I'm feeling it with Jesus. I'm allowing God to step back into the conversation. So God, as we worship in this next song, I'm going to give you my all. I'm going to spill my heart out on full. I'm going to bring my whole self to you in this song. And I say, God, it's all yours. You can have it. I need to be satisfied. I need to be filled. I don't want to go hungry. I don't want to go thirsty. I want to leave here with something inside me that I can't control, that I can't explain, that takes me from where I am to where you want me to go, God. So let's worship Him and believe that He will do that tonight.